evening. You're watching Breaking News. I'm Rishika Barua. Prime Minister Modi today broke his silence on, well, fuel prices in the country. Ironically, he broke his silence at a meeting where he was actually discussing the COVID situation in the country. The Prime Minister has come down heavily on opposition-ruled states, asking them to cut the state-imposed value-added tax on fuel. In fact, the Prime Minister, in a rather pointed attack, has said that 8 of the 10 states with the highest fuel prices in the country currently are non-BJP ruled states, further questioning why these states didn't cut fuel taxes in November 2021 when the centre cut fuel taxes, followed by 25 BJP states and states that are run by BJP allies. All of this, remember, happened just before the elections. At that point, the opposition states did not follow suit. Now, the opposition says that it is unfair to pass the buck onto states when, in fact, it is not states that have raised taxes, but it is the central excise duty on fuel that has gone up in the last 10 years. And look at that graph. According to the Petroleum Planning and Analysis Cell, Government of India, that line in blue is the tax imposed by the centre, and the line in yellow is the tax that is imposed by the states. Also, a breakdown of the tax component clearly shows that the central government levies the bulk of tax, around 63% if you tabulate the last 9-month data, and the states, well, they levy only around 37%. So that's how it stacks up when you look at it state versus centre. Lastly, the opposition says that the government has earned 26.5 lakh crore rupees from fuel tax between 2014 to 2021, whereas expenses on welfare schemes haven't been more than the tune of 2.25 lakh crore. But the centre has justified, saying that development expenditure has been over 90 lakh crores between 2014 and 2022, and the fuel tax money therefore has been put to good public use, and the opposition has missed basic data points. So this is the face-off between the centre and the states over fuel prices. The opposition essentially has also been accused by the centre of shedding crocodile tears on fuel prices. The question is, who is shedding the crocodile tears? And more importantly, between this blame game, is there any relief in sight for the common man? Before we get to panel to answer some of those questions, let's just take a look at what the Prime Minister said today.
केंद्र सरकार ने राज्यों से भी आग्रह किया था कि वो अपने यहां टैक्स कम करे और ये बेनिफिट नागरिकों को ट्रांसफर करे। वैट कम करने की बात की थी, सबको मैंने प्रार्थना की थी, लेकिन कई राज्य, मैं यहां किसी की आलोचना नहीं कर रहा हूं, मैं सिर्फ आपसे प्रार्थना कर रहा हूं, आपके राज्य के नागरिकों की भलाई के लिए प्रार्थना कर रहा हूं। अब जैसे उस समय 6 महीने पहले कुछ राज्यों ने बात को माना, कुछ राज्यों ने नहीं माना। अब कई राज्य जैसे महाराष्ट्र, पश्चिम बंगाल, तेलंगाना, आंध्र प्रदेश, तमिलनाडु, केरला, झारखंड, किसी न किसी कारण से उन्होंने इस बात को नहीं माना और उनके राज्य को, नागरिकों को बोझ कंटिन्यू रहा।
All right, so while the Prime Minister there has actually named states, he says that this is a discussion and don't take it as a criticism. Joining us on NDTV this evening, we have Dr. Shashi Panja, Cabinet Minister, Government of West Bengal. We have Professor Gaurav Vallabh, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Ranbir Singh Pathania, spokesperson of the BJP, Mr. A. Saravanan, DMK spokesperson, and Devjani Bhattacharya, political analyst, whose views lean towards the BJP. Thank you all very much for being with us on an issue that is extremely important to each and every viewer who has joined us. Dr. Shashi Panja, I want to begin by asking you, the Prime Minister has today, with data, come out and attacked opposition-ruled states, saying that it is, 8 of the 10 highest fuel prices are from non-BJP ruled states, therefore clearly passing the buck onto states to give some relief to the common man. The question is, will the states buckle?
It's very unfortunate because the discussion today was on COVID. And he spoke about cooperative federalism and converted a discussion into Man Ki Baat. And cooperative federalism, but all the CMs, there was just a one-way traffic. none of the chief ministers can respond, good or bad. So I don't know why this was done. And then it was all the more disheartening to see that a very important discussion on possible COVID fourth wave was converted to a blame game or a kind of a political conspiracy. You know, we have our Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has constantly been asking for the state dues. That's all she's asking. That the centre owes us 98,000 crores. This is due to the state. And I'm thanking you for the presentation which was shown to us, because some of the points were there. Yes, this is true that during COVID times, even in the last 3 years, the government, in response to the RTI, said that they have earned 6 lakh crores. They have raised 6 lakh crores from revenue from petrol and diesel. And during those difficult times, industry was given subsidy of 1,70,000 crores, income tax subsidy that industry would come in, though of course no industry open. And of course there was a response that industry does not stop or start with the button. So things were, we are being denied our money and we are being told that why don't you forego your 5,000 crores?
Okay.
I mean, this state, West Bengal, has already exercised a subsidy of ₹1 since February 2021 and we have lost 1,500 crores on this. I mean, it goes without saying that the amount of the percentage of central tax in West Bengal on petrol is 25%, more than what West Bengal tax is.
So you're
and
essentially
even diesel 54%.
You're essentially saying that it's a double whammy as far as, say, your state government is concerned, because you're still awaiting clearance of money from the centre, and at the same time you're being asked to cut fuel taxes. So where is the state going to make its money from?
That's why our Chief Minister said.
Yes.
That's why the Chief Minister said, you give us a 98,000 crores.
Okay, fair enough.
We will see that we give more subsidy than the other states are giving.
It's a fair point, right? Give us our money and we'll comply with the tax deduction and so on.
Before demanding the money from the centre, the state would have to clear its accounts to the centre. It has not. If you check the audit report, the CAG report that has recently been submitted in the month of March, the state officers of Government of West Bengal were not ready to explain to the primary accountant general, to the accountant general himself. So it is obvious that the state is not submitting the accounts, I mean the clearance, how the state's demands, because whatever the centre collects from excise duty, 42% of that collection is again disbursed back to all the states. Now to get the due from the centre would have to show them the accounts, clarity and transparency, while the state continuously refused to share data with the centre. And not only with the centre, the state officers, the audit report is clearly written, the state officers denied to explain the fiscal deficit. They have also manipulated fiscal deficit and the growth, etc. And they have refused to explain
This is an allegation against the Mamata Banerjee government.
This is not allegation by me.
I have papers in hand.
If you go through the
I have
audit
papers
report,
in hand, and you'll be ashamed to know that they have denied us our dues vis-a-vis GST, vis-a-vis devolution 2019-20, 2021. I am equipped with my papers. Vis-a-vis the 14th Finance Commission. Vis-a-vis the NAFSA, the food subsidy.
I don't want this to become any more of a political tutu-meme than it already has. So let me also get in representatives from other states. A. Sarvanan is also with us. Mr. Sarvanan, how are you looking at what the Prime Minister has said today? Because he said that, look, this is not a criticism, it is a discussion. I've urged you before. He's even asked opposition ruled states on why you didn't cut taxes when in fact the entire, pretty much 25 states in the country, including the central government, cut excise duty ahead of the elections in November 2021. What's your response?
Rishika, the Prime Minister's preachings today is really amusing. If you look at the hard data, we'll understand how the centre is taking a windfall profit. See, 4%. Earlier, it used to be the GST. After the advent of the GST, the divisible pool, the money that goes into the divisible pool from this fuel taxes has come down to 4%. The cess has raised up to 96%. So, because of the cess on the fuel, we are already suffering. The state governments are already suffering because the money does not go into the divisible pool and we are not getting enough money. This is one thing. The other thing is, well-grown states like the state of Tamil Nadu, which has done well on social indices, has brought down the fertility rate. So, under the reference terms of Finance Commission, we are getting lower this thing from the lower rate from the central government. So now you are punishing all the way. You are punishing a better performing state by saying we will not give you enough money. You are taking a lot of cess. On top of that, you want us to cut the VAT also. Where will the state governments go? That is one of the important revenue sources for the state government. This apart, the state of Tamil Nadu, the Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, reduced the petrol prices by 3 rupees in July. The union government followed suit after the Tamil Nadu government. What the Tamil Nadu government has done.
Okay.
And now how can they preach us? How can the Prime Minister
Patania,
talk about the state of Tamil
it's a similar
Nadu?
view that's being echoed, by the minister from West Bengal and the spokesperson of, the DMK government in Tamil Nadu, that where are we going to get the money from? And both also saying that, it is a center that has to first come through and clear dues in order to be able to alleviate the burden from the common man.
Rishika, first of all, my fullest support and sympathy to all the states. If any of their dues have been lawfully, or we could say procedurally, they have been withheld. But the lead question is what the Prime Minister has proposed. He has said, "मैं प्रार्थना करता हूँ." He has put a humble request.
Sure.
Once the state of Gujarat, once the state of Karnataka, they have lost as good as 4,000, 5,000 crore rupees. My very, very respectful submission to all the 7 non-compliant states. Very, very simple question. Why don't you please follow in line? He has invoked cooperative federalism, madam. We have busted the myth and the smoke screen around that there was a word which was being spread by the opposition parties that after Uttar Pradesh election you will find a boom. But this reinforces that we are a government, we are a system, we are a formation which is governed by Antodaya, the last man in the last row. We are committed.
Gaurav Vallabh of the Congress party, respond to what Ranbir Singh Pathania is saying. He is essentially saying if Gujarat and Karnataka can do it, why can't opposition ruled states do it? Why do different rules apply?
Very simple question. Very simple question.
ऋषिका, मैं भी हाथ जोड़ के प्रार्थना करता हूँ that Government of India should reduce the excise duty on diesel, which was 3.56 rupees per litre in 2014 and which is 21 rupee 80 paisa per litre currently. मैं भी हाथ जोड़ के प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि reduce the excise duty on petrol, which was 9 rupees 48 paisa per litre in 2014 and which is 27 rupees 90 paisa per litre currently. Means in last 8 years, the excise duty on diesel got increased by more than 500% and the excise duty on petrol got increased by more than 200%. My simple question is that which state government in the entire country had this kind of increase, or even 5% of this increase, or even 2% of that increase? There is none. As per the Petroleum Ministry data, in last 8 years, 27 lakh crore was collected by Government of India by imposing tax on fuel, whereas all the state governments put together had collected 16.5 lakh crore. Means Government of India had collected 11 lakh crore more than all state governments.
Well, the government has said that all of that was spent on various welfare schemes. There has been an unprecedented spending because of the pandemic. There is a detailed readout as far as that is concerned. Respond to the simple question that if Gujarat and Karnataka can do it, why can't opposition rule states?
That's
now, Rishika, very good question. If Rajasthan can do it, why Madhya Pradesh can't do it? Because petrol prices in Bhopal is higher than Jaipur. If Jharkhand can do it, why can't Bihar can do it? Because in Ranchi, petrol is at 108 rupees per litre. In Patna, it is 116 rupees per litre. If Chhattisgarh can do it, why Karnataka can't do it? Because petrol price in Raipur and Bangalore is more or less same. So, Rishika, we are fed up with all these arguments. During Corona, who will give vaccine? If the vaccine, the treatment, the state government. Law and order, state government. Agriculture, state government. urban governance.
Mr. Pathania, you want to respond to that?
When it comes to collecting the money,
My dear sir, very simple. My dear sir, very simple. My dear sir, very simple.
No.
My dear sir, very simple.
Pathania, 10 seconds. I had a very
The Congress, the
Gaurav, let him respond. Let him respond. Let Mr. Pathania respond.
Your answer is very clear that you don't want to fall in line. Your answer is clear.
Okay, let him answer. You've raised several points. Let him answer. Let him answer.
Your answer is very clear. The people of India have read between the lines, and we could say beneath your statements and counter statements, you just want to create myths and mists over all the government. You don't want to respond. You don't want to fall in line. This is the only gist. This is the only gist of the matter. Very respectful.
Mr. Pathania, to be fair, all the opposition representatives on the panel have stated their concerns and reservations with falling in line. They are saying different treatment is being meted out to the opposition rule states. Therefore, they haven't been able to fall in line. Mr. Saravanan, you wanted to come.
Yeah. See, yet another aspect is this. The central government is having a flat tax, whereas the state governments are using a percentage of the tax. So if the central government is trying to, union government can reduce the tax, proportionately the percentage will come down, automatically will come down. So why the union government is not doing that? We are asking what happened to this 26 lakh crores. See, the prices were deregulated only because if the crude oil price comes down, that benefit has to be passed on to the consumer. Why the union government never allowed that?
Okay.
That is the question.
Okay. I know, Devjani, you want to come in. Dr. Panja, first to you.
I just wanted to say, just look at the accounts statements of the oil companies, or even at the annual reports of the oil companies, and look at those numbers, and just look how much of those numbers have been used as CSR funds towards funding projects which are desired by the Prime Minister.
Okay.
I mean, look at that. That's a very important data.
Okay.
And secondly, during such difficult times,
if you can break it down for our viewers. What does the data say?
No, when they are saying that they have earned so much, I mean, we are also saying that they've earned so much. And they are talking about COVID management, and they had to spend that 20,000 crores. Though, of course, they had mentioned earlier that they had allotted 35,000 crores for it. But what we are trying to say is that during these difficult times, you increased even the highway tax, the highway toll tax. On the contrary, in our state, we decreased the transport tax. And we lost 400 crores.
Okay.
We decreased by 1 rupee, we lost 1,500 crores.
Okay.
I mean, it is just amazing that you have 20,000 crores listed out for the Central Vista plan for Modi, and some more, that many crores for Modi Bhavan, and also other for the bullet train, etc. But when it comes to states getting their share, then you don't get your share.
The question is on priorities, where you have all of these ambitious plans in place, and that's really good. But doesn't the central government also need to reconsider its own tax structure when it comes to fuel? Because like we're putting out, it is disproportionately higher as compared to the states, across states.
If we have listened to the Prime Minister, then we have also noted that it is in the war-torn world, the supply chain, the logistics are also becoming challenging. So, since the crude oil is an import and the center is meeting out the costs of the increased challenges of the supply chain, then that means the expenditure also has risen. And all the projects the government of India has taken up, the Prime Minister has taken up, all this for infra building, and we couldn't have compromised. The question is, why didn't we do it so long?
Okay.
And all the things that are being done, we're talking
specifically about central excise duty that has been raised over a period of the last 10 years as compared to what states have raised. And therefore, today, if we're talking about a rollback and the Prime Minister discussing a rollback, then why put the burden on states?
Rollback. If you talk about rollback, then the center reduced excise duty by ₹5 on petrol just 5 months back.
Yes, ahead of the elections. Yes,
didn't. I would just give a single proposal, at least to the government of West Bengal. The government of West Bengal charges are 25% sales tax on petrol, and they also charge a 20% additional sales tax, which remains non-realizable, means non-realizable from the customer. But what the companies do, they do not pay it from the pockets. What they do, they charge the price accordingly, and by that, keeping it non-realizable, ultimately the consumer has to pay a 31.5% tax, which had it been realizable, not there, that component not there, had it been not made non-realizable, then the tax amount would have been 30 rupees.
Gaurav Vallabh, you wanted to come in. I know, Dr. Panja, you want to respond. I'll let you respond. Let Gaurav Vallabh come in.
In last 8 years, the total amount of tax collected by Government of India is 27 lakh crore rupees. And in India, we have approximately 27 crore families. So indirectly, every family of our country had paid fuel tax to Government of India of rupees 1 lakh. 1 lakh rupiah, Rishika. Every family of India had paid tax in the form of only fuel in last 8 years. So where is that 1 lakh rupees? What benefit each family of our country had received of 1 lakh rupees? We want that hisab. And point number two, Rishika, a very small point. That majority of amount which Government of India had collected in this 27 lakh crore is in the form of cess. And in cess, state governments are not going to get a single penny. So around 18 to 19 lakh crore in this 27 lakh crore is cess. And in cess, Government of India is having the entire money. State governments are not getting
Very quickly, Ranveer Singh Pathania, that's a very important point that is being raised. Please respond to that.
Madam, my very, very respectful submission. I said it in the right earnest also. If the Government of India is earning, how come the Government of Tamil Nadu or the Government of Karnataka or the Government of in their state, they are jealous of it? We should be proud of it that Government of India is earning. There is a very, very lead question where they are not responding.
No, I don't think anybody is jealous.
They are miring it in CSR.
No, it's a question of
responsibility. We're all part of the same country, so I don't think anybody is jealous. I don't think the question stems from jealousy.
Just a moment.
No, it's a question of
CSR. Is CSR the prerogative of the Prime Minister? How does it come? They don't want to fall in line. They just want to disrupt. They just want to create issues out of thin air. They just want to create politics. They don't want to cooperate.
Sir, do not try those diversionary tactics.
You just want to create hurdles. You just want to.
It's more than obvious. It's in the public domain, sir.
You don't want to
what are you saying?
Dr. Panja,
what are you saying? Don't you know that BJP states are getting 50% more than the non-BJP states?
Madam,
you cannot look at the figures. Have a look at the figures. There's not enough time to do that. Secondly, I agree with the fact I was going to mention about the cesses and the surcharges. You will continue to profit. You will continue to earn. But you will not. You will talk about cooperative federalism, and all these days you were silent about international crude oil prices. You were silent. The Prime Minister was silent. Today he was to talk about COVID, and he started talking about petrol and diesel. And you cannot respond. Cooperative federalism. All these years we were silent.
See,
so why aren't you giving us more? Why are the BJP states getting more than the non-BJP states?
Absolutely.
Why are they denying?
Point of
just because you couldn't win. Just because you couldn't win an election doesn't mean you take it out on the common people. I mean, the more you raise on diesel, it's going to cascade. It has a cascading effect on the vegetables, on the lemons. Nimbu ke daam dekhiye.
Okay.
Yeah, Rishika.
How can you be
saying
Rishika,
we don't want to get into daam because there are so many daams to discuss, Mr. Sarwan.
Rishika, see, I think the Prime Minister does not have any moral authority to talk about cooperative federalism. Because when we speak of federalism, it means you allow the lesser developed states to grow, not at the cost of higher developed states. That is what this union government is trying to do. You don't give me my tax devolution because my fertility rate is low. You punish me that way, and you say incentivize the states which does not bring down the fertility rate. So I am punished, double whammy for me. I am punished by all ways and means, and you are targeting the state of Tamil Nadu. I am putting it on record that Tamil Nadu is the first state to reduce petrol prices by 3 rupees. We gave BJP what to do. We told BJP what to do.
You did it.
BJP followed that before the elections.
All right. Like I said, this is a bitter political face-off between the states and the centers. The Prime Minister today has named and shamed states. We've put out that 8 out of the 10 states that have the highest fuel prices in the country currently are opposition-ruled states. Who's shedding the crocodile tears? We sincerely hope this conversation has been helpful in inching closer to that answer. Meanwhile, we'll continue to ask when the common man gets some relief, whether it is from the state or the centre. Thank you all very much for joining us on Breaking News tonight.